I went back and was it trying to account for the amounts issues. So I was getting a type BN, and I needed to fix that. Well, type BN has a 2-number and 2-string option, a couple of handy helpers there. And so what I did is I took the in amount, which is type BN, and I used the 2-number. I'm going to get rid of this window so we can see. And then this will give me the raw amount right here. So this just adding 2-number will convert to the raw amount. But because I'm trying to set the UI amount, 1.2, 3.7, smaller, just for the user interface amount. I need to account for the decimals. So I moved this down a little bit, and because I need the matching token decimals. Again, right now they're both 8 decimals, these X and Y tokens that I meant at the beginning for setup, but it could be anything. So in order to grab that as a refresh, so this is again inside the handle accept, and this is my individual Escrow PDA route now. In order to grab that, the user connects their wallet, and we fetch all the token accounts, and we store them inside of this wallet token accounts store. And then we find a match on the mint, because we are accepting the trade. The user is accepting the trade. The user is therefore the buyer. And so the escrows, the token in needs to match the connected user's out token. So what they are going to pay is going to be is going to match the escrow in account details. So we snag the token info, which then gives us all kinds of stuff, and then I just verify that we have it, which has an account property and a public key property, and then we go through and we basically here I'm updating the user store, all of its fields one by one, based off of this new token info. So we grab all these things and compute the raw balance and the UI balance. And here, I have a to-do showing test this, that this is accurate, and compute raw balances. All right, so what I've done though is, in short, what we have in the escrow in amount, so what we're expecting to get if we convert that using 2-number, then we have this big raw amount. But then if you divide it by 10 to the tokens, then this 10 to the token decimals will basically give you how much raw amounts is equal to 1 full token. So essentially we're just converting it back to a user UI amount. A little easier to see for users. So that's what we're doing for the buyer's out token, so what they're going to pay. And then the in token details. This is what they are going to receive from the buyer if they accept the escrow. So same kind of deal. We find the matching token because, and I need to do some checks. So like if the buyer tries to connect and accept an escrow, but they don't even have the token, then clearly that needs to throw an error. I'll get to that. But I think for now, I'm just trying to get the accept trade to work again. If we do everything perfectly, you know. So in this case, we find the matching token again. So the user store in token mint, which again we grab those values up here right away, and so you'll see how the out token, the user's out token mint, aligns with the escrow's in mint, and vice versa here. So we have those values, and then we find the matching token that the wallet has, and update the user store values, and the same thing goes here. So I had a little note to myself, I need to certainly test this all out and make sure that everything works. I'm still getting this object as possibly null, and I don't know how to deal with that just yet, because I feel like it should be okay. Now I did have a note to myself to compute the raw balance, not the raw amount, because of going through this with the type BN and converting to a UI amount, using the to number, I realized, like, wait a minute, I can just take the escrow out amount to number, and that will give me the raw amounts that I need anyway. So that simplified what I had previously. And token out balance, I feel like I've already done that part right up here. And the parse int is going to return me a number, and the buyer out token account info amount, this says type any, but it's actually a string, so you have to parse it, and that should be that. So the user store at this point should be before sending transaction. Just trying to make note when my logs go through as I'm kind of debugging this stuff. Yeah, so let's see, now that I have that in place, let's shut it down and rebuild and deploy. And yeah, let's try it out. So the usual routine, going to select a wallet, connect to my first. You can see that it does the fetch, but it comes back empty. I don't have any token accounts currently because I need to create them in Mint. So let's do this real quickly. Hang on, let me get that. Close that for a second. 1 second. Let's try this again. All right, so create the custom program account. We have tokens. I'm approving the 2 transactions. Approving multiple transactions this time. Yeah. And now I've got the ATAs, and let's mint some supply. And so the setup is done. We now have some tokens to work with. So next, let's I have to do this disconnect, reconnect kind of thing to fetch and update my list of available token accounts in the wallet. And so now I've got these 2 tokens. Yeah, I have this token, but I'm trying to get the other one. So, okay, I'm going to grab this mint address, paste that here, and let's go for, I'll pay 0.8 this time, and in exchange I want 1.3, something like that. So if I initialize the escrow and do that, goes through successfully, and now I've got this kind of printout here. This is using that JSON stringify of my escrow data, so looks ugly, but it's just a big link. So the idea is we can see that the escrow number is this, the authority is my the authority is the wallet, yada yada yada. This all looks good. Out amounts, these are stringified, but they're actually type BN inside the escrow, and it's active, has not exchanged. Let's do it. So I click into this, and now here are the more easier on the eyes UI for us. We have some stuff here. So the out amounts are raw amounts, which is fine. Obviously I could change this on the UI to make it look easier, but now let me set up. I'm gonna go over here and connect to a different wallet. Let's use Solflare extension, password, and now I'm connected. It's done a fresh fetch of tokens available in the Solflare wallet. Let's see if I can accept and what happens. Still doesn't seem to be liking this. Approve. The only thing that logged was the accept user store before. So where did I put that? Here. So at this point, if everything above has worked correctly, then I should have at least some values in my user store that align correctly. So this again is the buyer. This is the wallet is going to be buying. From the seller's point of view, they were going to pay 0.8 to get 0.3. So if I look at the user store as it is, yeah, see, it's not quite correct. In token amount, that's actually from the seller perspective. That's just the escrow, what we state in the escrow. So that's incorrect. In token balance, Again, doesn't seem to be working because in token balance should, maybe it's just not finding the matching token. In token mint, not sure because it's type in or public key, so I need to maybe print that out. In token raw amount, again, this is not correct. Out token amount, what they're paying, raw balance, out token. Yeah, this is not updating. So at least I figured out these raw amount conversions and whatnot, and discovered where the error is on the having the type be in, but clearly need to sort out this user store object, because this is just not working. So something is up. I don't know if this is really getting through. I think first things first is I'm going to just start doing some logs. Console log. What is this? Accept buyer out token account info. Just want to make sure, like, actually, let's just put it in here. I'm just curious if it's actually going to. Oh, where did that go? I'm just curious if it's going to, if it's found. All right, so we'll just found something like that. And let's see. Same here, but in token. Just curious if we're getting, if we're finding these tokens. That would matter. And then one other thing too. I mean, we get to this part, so I'm curious if we find the right tokens. So then another thing I need to check is the, like, I'm not getting an error when I click on it. You know, I mean, we're showing this, even though this isn't updated correctly. But I'm curious. Let's see. I mean, that's one thing, but I'm going to check out the logs. Yeah, so if you check out, okay. Oh, I have a couple errors from Solana logs. Okay, so custom program error. Program, that's my program, invoked the accept anchor error caused by account buyer in token account. Error code constraint raw. A raw constraint was violated. Okay, that helps. So buyer in token. Buyer in token. Okay. Well, that's something to look at. So what's up with my buyer? Buyer in, oh wait, buyer in token. Okay, in token ATA. A constraint was violated. Well, where am I setting this user store in token ATA? current buyer in token account, get token account balance, which isn't updating, by the way, but that's after the fact. So hang on, where else? Okay. So assuming we find the matching account, then I was going to I'm setting it to the pub key. So that may, I'm not even sure if this account is getting found in the wallet. And yeah. Okay. So, buyer in. The in token details. So we're going through the accounts that we have in our wallet, and we're looking for a matching mint. Now, and we technically obviously I could do more with that, but that comes later. We may not be finding the matching token, which would be interesting. Am I doing this right? So the in token mint should match the out mint address of the escrow. Like the on-chain escrow account has an out mint field. It's a public key. It's the mint address of that specific token, and we're trying to update in this accept trade transaction. We're setting the user store's in token mint to that. So let me also, while I'm at it, I'm going to console. Well, I guess I do. Log user store in token mint. I'd like to out token mint. Okay, should be able to see those printed out when we do this, rather than being hidden in this way. But then the raw constraints of the buyer in token. Okay, which means that going back to the program, so if I do escrow librs, this is a non-custodial escrow, this should be that. If I go to init, and where do I find the init? This is the custom program init, don't need that. This is the initialize init, don't need that. And it's actually not init, it's recovering the correct account. When we accept. So here is the buyer in token account. All right, so what we're doing is, constraint, we want to get a mutable. We're gonna pass in the buyer in token account, which is of type token account. But we have some constraints that Anchor helps us do with the validation. So I'm double checking, making sure that this token account's mint value is equal to the escrowed out token account mint. Not necessarily the escrows. So it's the escrowed token account mint, not the escrow in mint. Hang on. So let's go back. Hang on. So it's not. This is right. However, I don't set this. I may not be setting this correctly. So here, I feel like those should match, right? I'm curious. What does the buyer in? What does the escrowed out token mint? What is that? How do we get that? Well, we have an escrow store, yeah. We have the escrow account data. We should have escrowed out token account, yeah. And it's mint. Ooh. I have no idea if I don't know if the structure is correct like that. So that I need to take a look. Does escrow dot out mint equal escrowed token account mint, right? That should be those two. They should be the same. I need to see that. So and while I'm at it too, right now I'm just logging that, but I ought to could do like a little a Svelte reactive console.log escrow store and the user store. Even though I know I'm printing the user store in other spots too, but like escrow. I'm just trying to see the shape of this. Yeah. Authority, escrowed out, token account. I don't know if I need What if I... That's the token account. With its unique address. I don't know if my constraint is correct in Anchor, because there is no mint pub key on this token account. It's like I'd have to like fetch all that. And I felt like earlier, I think I added this in mint and out mint to make things easier. So I wonder if escrow lib, let's go over here, swap it down. I wonder, when I was making my custom program and kind of renaming some variables and such, I wonder if I somehow constraint equal but hang on, I can and I am in the initialize instruction, I am using the seller out token account dot mint. And where do I get that? Is equal to the out mint key. So I make that check. And I'm making that the owner on this account is equal to the seller key. Yeah? I don't feel like I've changed anything with my constraints. And this is a proper check, like buyer out token account mint is equal to the escrow. Well, hang on. The buyer out. So what the buyer is going to pay is going to align with the same token that the buyer is going to pay. It's going to align with the expected token that the seller will receive in. So I feel like that is correct. Verify that the so there, like Anchor does some magic, not some magic, but I mean just really this verification, this validation on all the accounts for our instruction. Super handy. Lots of like constraints are really helpful, and I don't feel like I've changed this, and I've had this work successfully in the past. So I feel like somehow, I mean, just going back to my logs, right? This buyer in token account, error constraint raw. A raw constraint was violated. A raw constraint was violated on this, not buyer out, but the buyer in. So let's go to buyer in right here. Have the buyer's in token is going to did not know escrowed out token account dot mint. Where else do we see this? I have it in my accept and in my cancel. Now, where do we have the where do we have the we're updating the escrowed out token account. Yeah, I feel like I gotta look into that. So I've got some logs. Let's go back and see whether what that tells us, if anything. But I do think I'm gonna have to do some sort of finding or getting this token account data, perhaps to verify the mint. But this is new. This is new because this was working before the changes, just as is. I really don't think that I've changed any of the constraints to the program, to the on-chain program. So let's see what we have. I'm going to go through this one more time. Swap my wallet back to the Phantom. I wonder if I click into here, can I cancel this? Does that work? Hey, at least the cancellation's working. And the cancel is also using this escrowed mint thing. So I feel like yeah, all right, so let's do this. One last look at this. Fresh rebuild, anchor, build, deploy, and then get my logs going. See, the Solana logs are helpful when debugging some of this stuff. Points you hopefully in the right direction. I'm going to go back over here, do the setup. But yeah, something is going on with my constraints. And I know something's kind of going on with my user store. There's something not, a lot of those values are not getting updated and stuff. What I could consider doing is and what I probably need to do is after each time I initialize, I run the reset on the user store. Because I really need to set part of the user store when a new wallet connects. But a lot of the fields are going to be empty because we don't know if they're trying to init or accept. And based off of that, then that puts them either as the buyer or the seller on that side of the trade. So let me disconnect, reconnect. Have my tokens. I have the 4J. I want this token. Yeah. And I have 3. Let's go for 1.2. Go for 0.5. And let's initialize. So really what I should do when I do this, and if it goes through, it should completely just reset the user store. I shouldn't, a lot of this stuff I need to get rid of at this point. But if I click into this, escrow store has the PDA, escrow values. It's got some stuff in there. In amount. Yeah, user store. It showed wallet address is null. Interesting. That could be a problem. That could be a problem. Because what other constraint do I have? Well, I don't know. Either way, so let's... but yeah, like this stuff, I really need to, like, in token amount. This is all from the seller. This is all old stale stuff at this point. So when I disconnect and I connect another wallet and they land on this page. Hang on. We should be able to, you know, when I disconnect like that, some things need to update the user store. And that may be something that I add in my layout alongside fetching. You know, it's something I may need to update soon. In the polls project, I even had a specific, an additional layout component in my PDA routes. Kind of to address that issue, because there's sometimes you'll land straight on this URL and disconnections and stuff like that. Well, disconnections need to, we need to kind of refresh. So, so we'll see. So I'm going to try to accept. And, oh, darn, I did not have any. I don't think I have any money. No, I did. Let's go back. Escrow. What happened there? I didn't even get, I did not even get prompted to transact. I don't think. Yeah. So if I try to accept, yeah, nothing fires. It shows the user store out token mint, in token mint. Oh, cannot read properties. Yeah, that whole, I think that's when I was trying to get the escrowed token account address, because I know there's no property there. So that's the problem. Escrow and then user store in token amount. Hey, yeah. All right. Out token amount. Yep. Yeah, I gotta address this user store. Something isn't right. The out token for the user store should be the yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to continue this debugging. I'm gonna step away for a bit, see what I can do. But I certainly need to address this user store after initializing, just and even possibly on Wallet Connect. So we'll see. I gotta handle this user store. After we initialize, I really need to erase it and reset it. But I also need to handle the fact that the wallet could be connected here directly in the route of the escrow. So think what I'm going to do for that is in my layout. So this is the Svelte layout component. So if I do routes and then /escrow and then these folder routes, folder and file routes. This is old. This is not the latest SvelteKit update. I need to take the time to actually migrate to the latest version, but that's another day. But so using this layout component, I have here, this is where, I'm setting my, making sure that I'm working with the correct anchor program. So then it allows, so it sets and updates the workspace store object with the correct program information, because again, this site has multiple programs with multiple IDLs. So I found this to be useful to set inside of the layout component. So what I need to do is I have some checks here. Essentially, so like whenever the layout is fires, what we have is I've got some reactive statements that are checking the values of the workspace store and make sure that the program is aligned and making sure that the wallet is good to go. And so far what I've been doing is just simply when both of these are good to go, using a reactive, then it will fire off to fetch the parsed token accounts in the wallet and the wallet's SOL balance. Again, SOL is kind of collected differently. You don't use the get parsed token accounts by owner method to get the SOL balance. You got to use the get balance. So that's different. But I'm going to, for here, I think what I'm going to do too is like when that happens, update, need to set or update the user store wallet value. So I feel like this is probably the best place to do it. So whenever a new connection happens, I do stuff in here. Yeah. But for now, just need to set the user store wallet value. So user store dot, what do I call it? User store wallet address. Yeah. Wallet address equals the wallet store public key. That should do it. Oh, yeah. I think that's about all I'm going to be able to do at this point. Seller store. Am I using seller store? I'm not. Need to reset my stores on wallet. Wait, I need seller store. Yeah. I've been learning. That's also true. I do think if a wallet disconnects, I probably should reset all the stores. Hang on. But if I'm on a route to a specific escrow, I may need to do a check, and if it's there, if I'm on yeah, I feel like that should probably reset. Question. How to handle if a connection happens on Escrow PDA route. Need to get the that's an idea. So I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Let's do, I'm getting some pop-ups on my to connect, but for now, I think what I'm going to do is let's get rid of the seller. Don't need it. I do need the user store. Let's try that. And let me now get my because I could do the Soulflare wallet. Hang on. So connect to that. Okay, what happens? What happens? Okay. Not sure if there's an active escrow here anymore. This is possibly stale, but I've got some token accounts, and we'll notice that everything is null, but the wallet address has the pub key. So I think that works. Go back. Yeah, there's really nothing here, so I'm gonna have to reset up and all that, but I see that this has happened, so that's one place. That's good. I think next I'll leave this as a possible just to do. Certainly need to handle or address that. This is the PDA route. Let me go to the main index, escrow index. On here, handle initialize. I really do need to reset this. Need and token amounts, all this stuff. Initializing seems to be working okay. After this goes well, I really don't know if I really need. Yeah, I even have a to-do. So I set it. I set the store data. I do all this stuff down here. Kind of get updated account data and stuff. And I've added to my array of escrows, which is good. I do need that. Okay, so I still need, that makes sense. Okay, so part of this is a little redundant, but I am now with my array of escrows using the helper add escrow, and I give it the data and the escrow data and the PDA that it got, which is a local variable, keeping it simple. And then, yeah, I have here as a to-do anyway. I do need to get rid of it. So I've fetched the updated escrow data so I could add it to my array of escrows. Okay, gotcha. Now I have a escrow store dot reset, and that should set everything back to null. Custom programs, fine. When we click on an active escrow, the link, I have a go-to function using SvelteKit's go-to, which will push the user to the correct route and also set the single escrow store with the correct, at least fetch that data. And yeah, so those two should work. I have this reset all stores. That is this big reset button. Could consider doing that. User store dot reset. I'm not even using this yet. Don't need to mess with it just yet. Could even do escrows store reset. But again, I'm not even using it right now. So let me do this. After those changes, I'm gonna connect to a different wallet. Let's try to log into the Phantom wallet. Oops, sorry about that. So now let's go over to, I'm gonna actually just reset all this stuff. Build it. And again, I haven't changed anything. I'm still kept the anchor constraint validation on my buyer in token account. Yeah, so because it worked in the past, and I feel like there's just something's going wrong with some of these stale stores that I've been working with. So let's it's gotta be a better way. But like development on the front end like this, after you bring it from just testing, there's a lot more to it, for sure. But I can't think of any other way to allow a single wallet to create multiple escrow accounts that are PDAs. That escrow number is my only kind of unique ID for each, so I can use that as the seed. But it requires me creating an entirely separate account struct in the program. Be nice if there was a better way. I can't just do random or anything like that because I feel like eventually it could have a conflict. So let's disconnect and reconnect. And we've got some balances. Oh, these are the seller and buyer stores from the setup. I see. Probably get rid of those, but let's see. I've got a couple of tokens. It's the one that I want. This is the one that I have. I have the CF2, so I want this one as the seller, as the initiator. Let's do 1.1. This is, and I've added some validation here, like in token mint. This field has invalid length of 48 characters. There is a set range of characters for Solana public keys. So I've just done a very, very basic check on that. And let's go for 0.4 and initialize. So at this point, there is no escrow, like this escrow store is not really used much. We're going to initialize. It's going to set the escrow store, add it to my array of escrows, and then reset it basically. To where, yeah, Escrow PDA out token. Here is the initialized escrow with all of its details, whatnot, and then yeah, so this is the user store after creating it, and this is all from the seller's perspective. Not only should I wipe the escrow store, but I may need to wipe the user store as well, because again, this really just represents or using the store only for these specific instructions like initialize or accept or cancel. It's only then does it matter and need to set those values. But all right, let's go in here, click in here. When I click in here, if I check the escrow store from this side, you know, in this case with this wallet, it is the seller for this escrow. So what it expects in is 0.4. What it is paying out is 1.1. What it has of that token is 3. So this is correct, really, by accident. But I mean, not by accident, but just because I haven't reset anything. But this is correct. Like when you find, so there's probably going to be some check, like I find the Escrow PDA, I load the data, and then basically like if the escrow, say here, like if the escrow authority equals the wallet store, then set user store values to be this, right? I can see that working, because then that allows the initiator, the seller, to be able to come in and just cancel. Yeah. So that probably is a part of the checks I'm going to have to do eventually. For now, let's see if user store has all this stuff. I don't know if I connect to a different wallet. Let's do the Sol Flare, different dev wallet, and I connect this way. What happens here? Okay, escrow is still, the escrow is still pulled. Let's we have the accept, and we haven't accepted anything. But yeah. So let me see. The escrows should be fine, but it's this user store. Yeah. So after I disconnect, the wallet probably aligns because I just added on this in the layout to set the user store wallet address to the wallet store public key. So that's probably right, but everything else is still the same. Like this is all from the seller. So if I hit Accept. Yeah, nothing happens. Type errors. Yeah, because, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, we haven't gone far enough. So, I really do think we are going to have to reset the stores. Yeah. I could do user store.reset. Could do escrow store.reset. Yeah. User store. What? Huh, you know what? This makes me think about my array of escrows as well. I mean, so I could do, like, for example, I could do so after resetting all of these, I don't know if I need to but should I even like escrows store.reset too? I mean, is that, do I completely or what do? Do I perform its get the accounts fetch and then it stores all of them, and then if we're on a PDA route, then filter on that PDA address? This reminds me. This reminds me of my polls program, because I had a similar situation where I was allowing each poll to have their own PDAs, right? So get all program accounts. Yeah. I'm gonna open up the PDA. Yeah, what am I doing here? What do I do in this one? Has polls, store values, and so like set single poll store on page load. So here's my note. So the polls layout is fetching all the program accounts and decoding, updating stores, etc. However, cannot access the page store to compare page.params.pda since page store is unavailable from layout. Ah, right, because it's not. Therefore, setting polls store here, the single poll store. However, I need to remember that normally, without refresh, that poll store is passed as a prop inside poll component. So it needs to only update set whenever a full refresh or wallet connect occurs. How to wait Let's make a reactive that only attempts once poll store is updated. So no poll store values found, trying to set. And this is just setting the single poll. Confirm the derived poll vote store. This gets a little complicated. Dealing with a little bit more stores in this app, but profile has voted. This is basically like the equivalent of, you know, the escrow store. Like they connect a wallet where, you know, the wallet has, the wallet initiated this particular escrow. And basically checking if the escrow store authority would equal to the user store address, essentially, like wallet address. So yeah, so this reminds me a little bit about why I added a separate layout, a nested layout for specific to the PDA, the dynamic PDA routes. And that was because of this page store that SvelteKit offers. Yeah, so right here, basically what I'm able to do is I can check the PDA value inside of my existing array of polls and see if it aligns or is equal to the page store's address, which is from the params property. So very handy, very handy. So I wonder if I need to do something similar for here, because I won't have, you know, like, even if I do some sort of like reset and then I do you know, escrow store, you know, escrows store dot get, you know, if I have some, like, I don't even know if I have a helper on that, but get escrow, get all escrow accounts or something like that. I wouldn't have access to the specific PDA of the route until I'm actually in a page. So I feel like that is why I decided not to. So here, certainly could remove and reset some of the stores, but what is this one? I'm not doing any store resets here. What about the polls? Oops. What about the polls PDA? to find the layout. Where? Why am I not seeing it? Hang on. Okay. Or did I not do that? I thought for some reason I added a separate... Maybe it's just, maybe it is just in the... What? Which one is this? This is my whole... This is like the general layout for my app. And I have a default set to just like the generic workspace program. But as soon as they swap to a specific program, then I'm updating using their... I'm updating the program. So let me go back. Interesting. Let's look at this. So this is them side by side. Yeah. That's familiar. Over here I'm getting all the program accounts. Which this is its own little helper that I wrote myself, expanded on it. This was a beast. Don't need to go into that. But I do throughout, after all the filtering and parsing and setting, I think I do at the end. Some stores are updated. Some stores are updated, but let's keep this for the polls PDA. Here. Yeah, interesting. So it's in this PDA component. This route component that I utilize the Svelte page store. Yeah. So when do I get has poll store values? This is the array, this is the single. Where do I... Where do I update all the polls? Is it... Trying to just see what I did with that. Polls store. Create some sort of on mount, possibly unload. Get polls accounts. Where am I? Search term, poll store, that's filtering them. Adding to the poll, yeah. Matching. navigate and save stores. I have a little helper there. Takes us to the PDA. Yeah. Huh. That's that. This actually makes me curious if I do anything. Decode all program accounts. I am certainly resetting. Yeah, that's what's happening. Okay, so I'm fetching all the accounts, and for all the polls I'm using this add poll helper that I created and passing the poll data along with its PDA, public key. So what that means is back, right here. This simple little bit, it's been a while since I've looked at this, but this bit right here in my polls program, this get all program accounts, that is, that's where a fresh refetch occurs every time there's like a wallet disconnect. And it also is resetting all the stores before updating them again. So that is helpful for my purposes, because essentially I'm not doing that here. I'm fetching token accounts for the connected wallet, but the escrow store, user store, these stores are I could take all of them, escrow store.reset, and then refetch, update all the stores. So I could do there's nothing to do with the user store, so I've done that. I could do escrow store dot, what is it, get escrow account, which takes in the program ID, which I have, and the PDA of the escrow. But that's the problem. That will be a problem because I don't have the I won't have that information, because even if I perform like a disconnect and reconnect here or something, close this, this is the layout component. It's not the PDA. It's not the dynamic PDA. So I don't have access to the page. So I won't have, I don't know how, my question is, no, I know this. I've already done this. No, cannot access the page, page store for the route params. So that makes it hard. Could have like maybe there's a default, but that won't. This will be empty. Yeah. I may have to do like. Can't do that, but can I fetch all escrow accounts and update escrow's store array? This I feel like we could do. So at the very least I could do this. Yeah. And then in here, in my PDA route, like add or update the single escrow store using page.params.pda. Yeah. Oops. Could refetch. It's probably the best way to do it, just to make sure, like, get escrow account or something like that. But yeah, like, okay, I think it's starting to make sense of how this is going to flow. Like, I think what I'll do first is just create what I can in here. May need to do a add a helper here for the escrow store array. So it can fetch, and it'll have what it can, and then here in the PDA route I do a fetch at the start, maybe like an on mount or something early, to where I'm grabbing this and updating the single escrow store right away. And that should help. That should help. So, yeah. All right. That's a bit of like troubleshooting, just kind of brainstorming, but I think that's the next step. I need to get my again, like, this is my layout component. So this is going to load before anything else does on my, when users hit this escrow route. We're setting the workspace and confirming that the wallet and everything is good to go, double checking, making sure that we're set to the correct program, because this site is supporting a bunch of different programs behind the scenes. So based on the route, it will swap out and update the workspace, and that's that's all thanks to this anchor connection provider component that comes from that library, that comes from the Svelte on Solana wallet adapter. The guys behind that package make this possible, so it's super handy. So that said, the issue here is that anytime I disconnect a wallet, I need to be able to get the correct, maybe reset some of the store data, and fetch the available escrow accounts if there are any. So I'm gonna reset my my validator, and we're gonna just create some tokens like we normally do for the typical setup process. Approve a couple of transactions, create the associated token accounts for the wallets, and that looks good. And then we actually mint some supply, and now my 2 dev wallets have some tokens and we have some stuff to work with. So that's where we're at now. Ideally, when a user disconnects or whatever, we're gonna have to reset some stuff, reset these temporary stores that we're using. So that's what I have happening right here, is the reset stores. So the user store gets reset, and we are updating its wallet address to be consistent with whatever wallet store is connected. The pub key there. There won't be a single escrow store, at least from this index page, from this main page. However, if we have like some escrows and we're on an actual route for a specific escrow, then yeah, the store could possibly get reset. I'm not sure about that. However, we can reset the stores array. I mean, the escrows array, but I need to basically get my, I need to fetch all of the escrow accounts. So the user, whenever they connect, they have kind of the fresh state of the app. So I have a helper function called get escrow accounts that takes the program ID and the connection. And so the program ID is this my program, so this non-custodial escrow program ID. Again, I started all of this back here from the examples from the Anchor Lang book. It's not really maintained anymore, it seems, but on-chain voting, a lot of my starter code came from here, and they called it not this voting, sorry, the non-custodial escrow. A lot of the starter code that I used came from this, and I've modified it a bit. But so I have that stored in a constants dot non-custodial. So that's the program ID, and next I need the connection, which is stored in my workspace connection. So that should work. Let me go to this and bring this in front. So here's our custom escrow store, or escrows store that I create. Has all the Svelte store requirements. Remember, we just have to return an object that has like subscribe and set. Depends on the different types of store, but this being a writable, we also have the option to use an update. And so I then created this helper, which is get escrow accounts. And yeah, at the end of the day, this is using a program, a method call from the connection called get program accounts. So it fetches all the accounts owned by the specified program ID. So basically, in this case, our program would own a bunch of escrow accounts as well as the single custom program account. And that's essentially it for now. But this uses this get program accounts method, which this is important for fetching data. This is used quite often. However, it's kind of discouraged on how you use it. So there's a really handy, the Solana cookbook has this guide on using an RPC method that returns all accounts owned by a program. This is really resource intensive. This is a great deep dive though, showing you like how you can minimize, you can make it a little bit better in terms of your fetch. There are better ways to fetch program accounts data, and it shows you like how goes through kind of a scenario like this is like an SPL token account, but this gets into like where the number of bytes needed to store the encoded data inside the account, and applying some filters where the filter it's an array of filters which has some properties like data size, memcomp, memory comparison, with some sample snippets, data slice. Really good. Big shout out to Solana, YouTube. This guy, YouTube, Solana, Solana deserialize. Apologies for the sound. But this guy right here does the data serialization and deserialization. Yeah, this guy, good stuff. Find him. He goes through a good deep dive on how this stuff works. But essentially what I'm doing is I've added I'm doing just using the data size, which is a number, and basically it's saying, okay, find all the accounts owned by my program that have this exact data size. Well, this escrow account space, this constant right here, this is actually defined in my on-chain program. So let's see. Yeah, so right here, this is my program. Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff, but then down here we have the actual account state for the custom program. And then right here for my escrow, every field that we store into this account, like the authority, escrow number, buyer, out mint address, yada yada yada, takes up space, and we have to account for the space. So when we initialize the account on chain, this concept of like rent and stuff, like basically the more data you store on chain, you have to pay more to create and initialize the account. So here is all of these fields added up with their space and number of bytes, which makes sense and aligns to kind of like how the memory is stored. And you have these concepts like of discriminator and stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much in that because it's a deep dive. But what this allows us to do is we create our own filter, and we use this get program accounts, apply our filter, and we get our encoded data. Now, after we get the data back, we actually need to, it looks like something like this. It's encoded. It's going to have a public key and account, but the account is a buffer, and so we have to decode. And that's where it gets really interesting. I've done a lot with that, but Anchor even on the testing side has this, you have the workspace, but then the workspace has the program, and in the program has this property called the coder. And this is good for serializing and deserializing account data. So it has some functions on it where you're like coder, decode, or encode, and it's basically it knows the shape of your data or your account struct data and what you're storing in the escrow account based off of how we defined it here in our program. So this is Anchor, again, just really simplifying the process, and we don't have to do it our own, So yeah, and so what I've got here is like it goes through, decodes the data, and then I'm using the add escrow helper that I also created, which is just passing in the data. And there we go. So that leads me to where was I? To the layout. I'll stay on here actually. This is the PDA, but if I find the escrow layout, yeah, let's bring it back over here. So this is where we're at. So this should work. So every time a wallet disconnects and everything gets ready, then this reactively fires, and anytime something updates inside here, this reactive will trigger. But the idea is like, okay, I'm going to repopulate the escrow store of any escrows available. Grab the token accounts by the wallet, throw them in a store, and also grab the wallet's current SOL balance. So yeah, that should work. So in here, I've got it to where it will console log. So this is on my main page. So if I disconnect and reconnect, here's layout component, escrow store, empty. Yeah, like it's running some queries, but there's nothing there. I haven't actually initialized any. So let's do a quick let's initialize a couple. I have 3 of this token, but I want this token. I want the 6Q token. Okay. But I have this, so let me copy this address, paste that there. Let's just do 0.9, that'll work. And then let's do 1.5 in exchange. Now let's do 1.3. Obviously, validation on the form needs to happen, but we're just trying to get this thing to work. All right, so I've initialized one escrow, and it's got all this data, and I click onto it, and it's a link, and it takes me here. We are using, so when we initialize a new escrow, one of the steps that we've done is we use this add escrow helper, and it just takes this and adds it as a record, as an element in our array of escrows. So now I've got all this escrow data. That's one. If I go back, let's do another one. So right now it's the same wallet's connected, so it's going to be like same tokens. It doesn't really make much sense, but like if I did, and this hasn't updated, right? Because really the user doesn't have a full 1.3 for the balance. But I know I just did something like point something. What was it again? Let me jump into it. Or 0.9 was what I had. And I was wanting 1.3. So let's do, this time I want 0.4 and of, oh, sorry. I have this. So let's do 0.4 of that token. And again, just because we're limited on our tokens, I want the same token, but this time I want 0.8. This is all still within the small balances just because in the wallets I only mint 3 to each wallet. So if I hit initialize, escrow account already exists. Huh. This should have reset again. Let's do I'll pay 0.4 of that token, and I want 0.8. Don't know. I mean, obviously it's my user store or escrow store is still stale. That's what's happening. My current so let's see. Yeah, I really need to I want to make sure, have I reset the escrow after initializing? Handle initialize escrow. Thought I had done that. Yeah, right here. Right? So when I initialize this should have reset. But then when I click on this is actually setting it again, which is used to kind of display all this stuff. So, but then when I go back, the store isn't, the store is still there. It's almost like it's almost as if I need to, because I'm using the escrow store, it's almost as if I need to reset at the top. So if escrow PDA is not null, yeah, strange. Like, am I setting? I'm setting values for the escrow store after we do the transaction. But yeah, that's what happened. So I clicked here, which reset it because I'm going to a specific escrow, but you can imagine a list of multiple escrows here. Click into it, So it sets the single escrow store for this particular escrow with its unique PDA address and route. And we work with it. But yeah, if I go back, escrow store is still stale. So when I click and do like new values and stuff, it's almost as if I need to reset the store at the top. This is crazy. So as well, so like I want to reset it just in case it's stale somehow. So if I do that, then this would never happen. Like Escrow PDA. Yeah. Let me see. This is all user store stuff. Where else do I do escrow store dot I set it. This is the initialize. Anything else? Okay, this is good. That's encouraging. So I'm not accidentally setting its values. I'll put a reset the any existing escrow store, just in case. I don't know if this is right. This is a little wonky, but if I do escrow store dot reset here, and then I go through and I do the escrow correctly, I'll put it down below these two checks. I don't know if that's ideal. When I click on this, it's fine. Escrow store, we have that set. I come back over here. Escrows store, the array still has that one. I don't, if I try this again, I have, yeah, okay, my balance has been updated, 2.1. Again, it's not perfect. So let's pay out 0.8, and we want, let's say 0.4. So I'm trying to initialize one other. Oh, it can't get past. So this little check is not ever going, this first one is not ever going to really work, because if I'm resetting at the top, but let's see. 0.8. We want this token. Let's go for 0.4 again. This time should reset the store and allow me to create a new. Yeah, okay. Here's another one. And if I have an escrow store, single escrow store, looking for my escrow store if I have it. Yeah, maybe I'm not logging it. But if I logged it, it would show that, yeah, I'm not logging it. It would show, it should show something that's completely emptied out, null and null, because I've reset it, which is handy. Now when I click onto this, come over here, and escrow store, the single escrow store is now populated with this escrow data. I go back, still the case. But if I wanted to click on this one, that escrow store should these are type BNs. I'm trying to see, like, all of these are like public keys or type BNs and stuff, so it's kind of hard to see easier deals. But that my guess is that this escrow store is now correctly like updating based off of what we click. And notice now my escrows store has two separate escrows. So that is happening because when we initialize, we add. Now, if I were to, let me see, if I were to just kind of like, what happens if I just refresh? I refresh and all this UI stuff goes away. But my stores are still there. Now, one thing we'll notice is after I refresh, we have to like do this whole new reconnect. My single and my array is no longer the case. It's empty. Got some logs and stuff. I mean, my wallet still has some tokens, but I'm trying to show it gets the token accounts by owner, like that's been invoked. My XMint stores have lost state. Kind of, it's okay. But I'm trying to show that the escrows store, yeah, my helper has been triggered. And it's been triggered because of the layout right here. This this call right here triggers this, which this escrow accounts encoded. Yeah, this is it. It's found some data because on chain, there are two escrow accounts that belong to this program. So we have it. And if I click over here, the escrow store is updated. Yeah. So, okay, not bad. User store has completely been wiped. I refreshed, and part of that is I only update the wallet address. So I wonder, I'm the initiator, I wonder if I can cancel. Nope. Wrong input type for account seller out token account in the instruction accounts object for instruction cancel. Oof. Yeah. All of this. And I think the reason why this is pointing to seller out token account. Man. Yeah. We got problems. Lots of problems. But this fetch is working. So that's encouraging. We reset the user store and do that. We reset the arrays and do a fresh fetch. And we We don't mess with the single escrow store because, I mean, I guess I could. What happens if I disconnect? Wrong input type for account. Wrong input type. Should be a pub key. What the heck is happening? So if I'm curious if when I disconnect and reconnect, same wallet, does my escrow still seems to work and get populated. That's nice. But what? It's finding my tokens or my escrows and that's it. Yeah. So seller out token account. So seller out token. Yeah. Okay. So this is the cancel. And this should not actually be coming from the, oh wait, yeah, okay. The seller, in this case, cancel should only be available if the connected wallet is the initiator, is the seller, you know. But that's coming from the user store. But the user store on wallet disconnect or whatever, gets reset, and we only set the address, because there's really, with all these other fields like in token and out token details, we won't get those necessarily until we are actually like on an actual escrow, like inside an escrow route. Like, so, is there something that we can do in the PDA that, because, yeah, it's basically looking for data on the user store, but it's basically wiped out in this scenario. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Huh. I mean, what I could do on a PDA route, I could do something like that's similar to this, where we're doing some checks and things that are ready, and then something very similar, I could grab and update the escrow. Like refetch it. Yeah. What did I do with my polls program? I'm curious. So like, in the PDA in the layout of my polls program, I do this kind of check, and I go get program accounts, and do a lot of like fetching and decoding and updating of the stores. But for the single, let me see, polls/PDA. What did I do here? Okay, so has poll store values. These are all a bunch of different stores. And then I've got like set the single, okay, because I know I've worked through this a bit. Very similar. Set the single poll store on page load. It's fetching all the program accounts and decoding updating stores. However, cannot access the page. Yeah, I knew that. I'm going to set the single poll store here. Poll store is passed as a prop. Yeah. How to wait. Make it reactive that only attempts once polls store the array of poll accounts. Don't use get. It's not reactive. Use store. Get access to the store at the time of execution only. So I see. So what I did in the PDA route for my polls is that I just fetched the data and put them all into the escrows store, which is my array of them of escrow accounts. But what I could consider doing here is adding some conditions, some conditionals to kind of help and ensure that I've got what I need. And then once I have my escrows store, what I could do is then find the matching escrow account. And yeah, so that's something to consider. Let's see. So if I did something, if I did something kind of similar, has, you know, because normally when I come from here, I click into this, my single escrow store will have values, so I don't need to do anything. It's only like when a user kind of does this weird like disconnect or something happens and they're on one of these routes that I may need to perform a little bit of an update to repopulate the escrow store values. So yeah, this is has escrows store values, and this is my escrows store dot length is because I'm pulling that in. So if it's got some values already, then we have some, great. And then here's another check, is like has escrow store values, single escrow, and that would be escrow store dot escrow. So the escrow property has data, and the PDA, escrow store.pda is also not null. Okay, so if we have that, that's helpful. Now, we could have like another kind of reactive, where if where we have escrows and we don't have the single escrow store values. So like we've been disconnected. My layout has performed the get escrow accounts. It's updated the escrow store. Great. But our single escrow store has not been found, or it doesn't have, it's been wiped out unexpectedly. Okay. Well, what we need to do now is we need to kind of find the matching account inside of our array. So let's do this. So, well, what's the let current escrow PDA equal to, and let's use the from Svelte. We have some handy get. How do you do import page? What is it called? Svelte what? I imagine what do we call it? It's page from app stores. Gotcha. So app stores that should help. Now what current escrow PDA should be something like page.params.pda, right? Because the params object is going to be the actual, like this PDA address, this C8A blah, 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 blah. So, but this is a try, actually. All this is try because we're not really sure. Oh, what is that? What? We're going to try to get the current escrow PDA, and then let current escrow. Well, this should be a filter, like a find on our escrows store. And what we have is what do we have here? The escrow store is an array of, what do we call them? Escrow store objects. So right? It's an escrow store object, which we've defined. It's going to look like this. It's a custom type that I used. It's going to have an escrow property, which is the actual escrow account, and the PDA. So as we're searching through this, return, what is it? The escrow store object dot PDA equals our current escrow PDA. Yeah? Wouldn't that work? What am I missing? Do I need to set this as? Do I need to cast this? Oh, I see. This is a string. I see. I do. Right. For this, I need to actually do to base 59 or 58. Sorry. So the actual data and the PDA, which is type pub key, but let's get the string version of it, should be this because this is a string. I think I did something like that in polls. How did I do it in polls? Yeah, this is actually pretty handy. I'm gonna just copy this whole thing. Trying to, I don't know. I think they both obviously would work. But I have to admit, I'm trying to keep my code a little bit more consistent. You could argue that this does not, but okay, no. Let's change to escrow store values found trying to set, and then yeah, let's do this. And then we'll change string, and we'll do current poll store object to be current escrow store object GC. Let's confirm that's right. Yeah, that's right. And then polls store, this is the escrows store. Find. I know I just did this. I know. But store object value in the PDA to base. We got to compare them by strings because the page param is going to be a string. Yeah. All right. So getting that, if we've current escrow found in the escrows store, setting escrow store values. Here we go. Escrow store. Right. We all have the set. This is standard for writable stores. And then the data itself is the escrow, and the PDA is the same property. I think I've got that right. Yeah, and then, but it's not the poll, it's the escrow. And that's, yeah, confirm that derived poll store updates as well. Seems to work. Yeah, in my polls project, I have a derived store tracking all the votes for that specific poll, and I'm using and a derived store is handy because you can kind of derive from multiple stores, like other stores. So anytime their values change, then that derived store will also automatically update. Super useful. In this case, I don't have a need for it just yet right now, but it's nice to know. And then worst case, if it doesn't find it, single escrow store not updated. What I could consider doing is, like if this isn't found, I could consider why is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong mode. I see. What I was trying to say here is if like should I or try a fresh because my escrow store, the single escrow store, what do I have here? Escrow store. I have the get escrow account where I could try to do all that. And pass in all this other stuff, and then it would set. Maybe something to consider. Like if it's available, great. We set it. Or just do it. Why does it when I hit tab, this is taking me back to, I've done something with my configuration. Yeah, the idea is that I could possibly do like another if check here. If there's not, like if that's not found, then we could try to do what I was saying, line 11, go down 10, paste. If we find the object, great. If there is no object, how should I do that? Would it be like would this be a time to use the old else? I can't find it. Then perform the escrow store dot get escrow account, maybe, which takes the program ID, the escrow PDA, and the connection, which we would have access to again, right? So the program ID would be constants, and then it's the non-custodial. It's our program. I don't know what's up with my formatting. Just go with it. The PDA, I believe. Yeah, PDA and then the connection. So the PDA would be the equivalent to the page params.pda. Yeah. Hang on. This is of type pub key though, so I actually need to do turn this into a new anchor.web3.public key, and then pass in this string value. I'm using it as types in my where am I at? I could consider doing just public key. Hang on, I'm getting some auto imports. So new public key, yeah, that'll do it. And now I pass in the page.params.pda, which is going to be the current route that the user is on. And then I need the connection, which is inside my workspace store. Yeah, that should work. I don't know why my formatting is being a little wonky, but yeah, okay, so let me just think about this. So we have reconnected. We have some escrow accounts in our array store, but we don't have the single store, escrow store. So we need to, first we're going to try to find it. And if we find it, cool. We can do this check and set these things. Otherwise, if we don't find it, then we use oops. I use U as just like update. I'm going to try it for now. If we don't find it, then we're going to do that. And then, boy, I mean, that should allow us to, I feel like that should work. All right. Okay. So, because previously when I would, from here, from this route, for example, if I were to just disconnect, if I go back, right, as it's currently working, anytime my escrow store, this is still active, like it has like some old data, which is fine because I haven't, I mean, I don't know, we'll have to figure that out. But when I click on any of these, I currently have like escrow data, yeah, and that's in the store, okay? But if I were to disconnect while in one of these routes as a user, I disconnect, And then previously when I would reconnect, it was wiping out the store. Like, if it's a wallet disconnect, let me just refresh. So initially, escrow store is null, user store is null, we don't have anything. This is like, and then our wallet and workspace have connected finally in layout, so then we go and fetch token accounts. Escrow store is null at this point. User store only has the public key of the wallet. But our escrow array of escrows is triggered. In our PDA route, no escrow store values found. Trying to set. If we find it, I can say current escrow found in setting escrow values, and boom, it's working because it matches the params, the page params. Nice. So that works. I could add, let's see, may need to test this. Need to test. But what I could do is also, for the sake of console log, current escrow not found in escrows store. Trying to fetch, or trying to get, or trying to set, whatever. Okay. Okay. So I think that would work, but at least in the case of when we reset or reconnect after a refresh or anything, like it's going to go through that step. So that's, so far it's kind of, it's progress. Yeah, 27 could refetch using the helper. Yeah, and I'm doing that. Add, update the single escrow store using the page, doing that. May need to consider creating yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like that's a decent bit right there. Now, I mean, I still got issues with like this whole. There's a lot of issues still, but this was going to be a problem because if the user happens to, you know, if everything goes smoothly and they sign in on the first page and they go over to the escrow, they click on the link, it's going to set that escrow store. All good. And they can do what they I mean, I still need to fix this, but ideally they would be able to interact with the escrow and, you know, go back and continue and initialize and do what they need to do. The problem that I'm trying to address with this bit of code is when some sort of wallet disconnect happens on the side. So what I'd like to try real quick is now that we have that that partially addressed, I'd like to see what happens when I try to interact with this. So I've refreshed. Escrow Store still is there thanks to the PDA route or PDA component. User Store is completely wiped out, and this is the problem, I think, so because we haven't addressed any of that. But if I look in my Solflare wallet, here are the two tokens where I've got 3 of this and 0 of that, and I even have some Sol in there. That's from this other dev wallet. Solflare is cool in that way. But yeah, if I try to accept my user store currently as it is completely wiped out. Now that said, I am making an attempt to do that here, where we are resetting and updating values as best as we can. And before any of that happens, once that happens, then we would be able to finally process and send off the transaction. Let's see what happens if I hit accept. Jack Diddley. See, at least on the front end, but stuff is certainly happening. User store out token mint, in token mint. There's a type error. Escrow store. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the next step. Is we got to be able to start canceling and accepting escrows, as I've been saying for hours now. But yeah, we really need to figure that out. And I think we're getting there because we've started to at least ensure, for the most part, that our escrow store has the correct data. We have got to we got to get the ability for the buyer to come in and trade. So something to base 58. I've got what examples of this? Console. Yeah, this does not exist. This line, nah, does not exist. There is no mint in that way. It's not how we get the mint of the escrowed token account. Yeah. Because that's the problem right now, is this let's go to my logs. Initialize, yeah. And transfer. And then it's just nothing is getting through. So let's refresh and see what happens. Nice. Okay. The escrow store. It's not found. Or it's not found. But then it's found. And we don't have much of anything for the buyer for the user store. So wrong input type for account buyer in token. Okay. So buyer in token account. It's account info. This is me. Ah, there it is. This right here. All right. The user in token ATA. That's right. Okay. So we have addressed the escrow to a degree, but this in token ATA is yeah. Yeah. So this is the wallet token account store. This is assuming like from the wallet store, it's an array of tokens that this connected wallet has. And basically trying to, yeah, in token mint. We try to set that up here. Escrow out mint. Oh, sorry for that. Yeah, so we're trying to set the in token mint is equal to the escrow out mint, which is a public key, right? So in token mint and out mint, that seems to be right. Now why? Are we not able to find? Oh, hang on. This is public key, whereas this parsed. Let me see if I have an example of that. Parse token account. So let's go in here and let's look at it. So this account data parsed info. Look at this. So yeah, the mint here is a string. And here I am having it as a public key, which up here, when I set it, out token mint, I'm grabbing that as a public key. So this whole comparison right here, what I'm missing here is 2 base 58. This probably has been why these accounts have not been found, and hence why this is type string and this is type public key, and I'm looking for the matching account. Hang on, that certainly will explain part of why my accept has been failing up to this point, because every time it tries to go through, it's not able to find it. Now, in token account, what I pass to the transaction or to the instruction, this still needs to be in token account. All this stuff, this still needs to be of type public key. We're not passing strings here, so that sounds right. Let me see. I'm going to refresh, just a hard refresh. It's going to connect to the wallet. Getting prompted to. One second. Unlock. Let's see what happens. Okay, now that's connected. Refresh. Now, let's try to accept. Okay. Man. We're getting there. Baby steps. Out token, in token, buyer, out token account, info found, which I have like up here. Buyer, out token, account, info found. So this matched finally. Now the challenge is, though, what happens next? 280. Cannot set properties of undefined. Out token amount. Out token amount. And this one, oops. If we look at this, I've had errors with this for a long time. User store out token amount, and they're showing possibly undefined. So the error is at 280. Let me go to line 280, and here. Okay. Handle accept. Yeah. So out token amount. Why am I setting it? Am I setting this twice? Is that supposed to be a raw amount? Hang on. Let's add some space. Like clean this up. Token balance. Out token raw balance, balance decimals, amount, and raw amount. I need raw amount, token amount. So if I look at this parse tokens accounts, data, info, data, parsed, info, token amount is an object, and inside, yeah, okay. This is a mistake. Like, it's like I started to do this earlier and didn't realize that I had done it twice. So let's do amount and then raw amount. Ah, man. Okay, so the amount for the store is going to be not the raw amount. We're going to go for the UI amount. So dot UI amount. Okay, that's that. And then this is not out token amount. This is the out token raw. Oops, raw amount. So, all right, I'm gonna have to fix this. I'll play around with this for just a bit, and then I'll come back to this. But yeah, I think we're onto something. So I actually got this sorted out now. Trick was I was getting a little confused for a second there. So the user store, when I say balance, I'm talking about what they actually have in their wallet, like the user's token balance. Now, amount, this is actually the in token amount is basically, from the buyer's point of view, what is the actual amount of this in token will they receive by accepting this escrow, by accepting the exchange. So that's the difference, and I got confused a little bit there, but I meant to record, but I figured it out. So when I was getting this error of like object is possibly null, this seemed to solve that. So basically, if I do a check on whether or not, like, after I grab the token decimals and I set it on the user store object, and I get and I confirm that I have an out amount in the escrow, only then can when I do that little check, then I can set the user store in token amount, the amount that they expect to get. And I have to do a little bit of a conversion because the escrow out amount, what's stored in the actual escrow account, this out amount is type BN, as I mentioned earlier. And so if I use the 2 number on this BN, and then I divide by I think I don't even need the parentheses here, because this is an exponent, so I don't need this. Yeah, don't need it. So then I'm taking 10 base to the number of tokens that this in token has, and everything is able to set and compute correctly. And then for the in token raw amount, so basically the amount that the buyer is expecting to get of this token in the raw amount, I set that, and all I do is simply call the to number on the EB, and we're good to go. So I did that for both the out token amount and the out token raw amounts. Again, these are not the balance. This is not what the user has in their wallet. It's not their token balance, but in the actual amount that they will that we're going to be exchanging based on the current escrow. So long story short, after making these changes, I'm no longer getting that error that the object is possibly null, and it works. I went through the exchange from the buyer's standpoint, hit accept, and was prompted. So I'm going to go back and refresh. This is still, it's going to do a fetch and stuff, and I got to do my, let's do, so wallet connects from the buyer. Crap, I'm not sure which one I just accepted. Oh wait, is active. Oh cool. Yeah, so it fetched and is active is false, so that means it has exchanged is true. So this one, this escrow has already been processed. But if I click on here, I have this second escrow. I'm curious as to why. I don't know when that happened. Anyway, when I click on that link, the single escrow store should be set right away. So here though, I've got this. I'm gonna go back. I'm just curious. What if I clear? And then find the one that has exchange is false and is active. Curious. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure that it wasn't doing some redundant fetch or whatever of trying to set the escrow store. I think that's working correctly, as it was earlier. So now that I have the escrow, again, the wallet, the user store doesn't have crap in it really, except for just the user's address, which is this. But it's only when from the buyer, when I click on accept, do I go through and update all the user store values accordingly using all this. So let me show you. If I hit accept, so the seller was paying out this raw amount, I think it's 0.8, and they're expecting 0.4 of the other token. If I hit accept, see now that it pops and it's working out, you can see this is why Solflare is pretty handy. It shows the transaction simulation, and finally the sign. You're finally going to see the details of where we've got, from the buyer's point of view, they're going to pay out 0.4 of this token, and they're going to receive 0.8 of that token. And I hit approve, and transaction is successful. Yeah, and now if we go back, and if I could look into this escrow store, it's changed. It now is active false and has exchange true. So it's working. We have officially debugged the accept transaction, and it really few things there. We were having issues with getting the escrow store whenever some sort of disconnect, and I still need to deal with the scenario of like there's still more testing to do around it, but basically I have a proper fetch of the based off of this. If for some reason we have to do if there's a refresh, that kind of thing, we'll do a correctly go grab and set the escrow store data, which then when we click on the accept, we're taking the time to, we've reset the user, but basically it's only here, once we click on this handler, do we start to set all the user store values. And we can do that because we have the escrow store. And so using the combination of the data that we have stored in the escrow store, then we can slowly start setting all the user store values correctly, as well as the amounts and balances and raw amounts and yada, yada, yada. And then even based off of the using the get parse token accounts by owner, now we, because the escrow store has the we have the seller's wallet stored inside of our escrow account data as the authority. Yeah, so finally with those addressed, we now can correctly accept the escrow. So much more work to do. In fact, I've added a couple more to-dos. We've updated the user store for accept. We need to do the same for cancel. In that case, cancel should only be available for the initiator, the seller. Obviously, there's some UI things these buttons shouldn't even be. There should be some sort of check. When I fetch the escrow store and I have the user store, I basically need to check, is this user store wallet address equal to the escrow's authority? If so, then they are the seller. They're the initiator, and so they have the option to cancel. Otherwise, they are a potential buyer, So there's some checks I need to do. And setting these user store values, it may, right now I'm just going to do them inside the handlers, but it may make sense to create some helper functions to do that, just to kind of refactor. But, I'm glad it's working at this point. They also have on page refresh. So if I just refresh, a hard refresh, it does all this stuff, but we are still able to get the correct escrow store data because of what we've added here. I need to address the issue when if we disconnect the wallet from here. So escrow is still there. I guess that's okay. It seems to be fetching and doing that. Okay. Maybe that's already addressed. I don't know. I need to test this out a little bit more. But from the buyer standpoint, maybe that's already addressed. I'll test that more. Well, that's looking good. So anyway, yeah. Getting there. Go back here. Obviously, these are now all have exchanged. So obviously that can change the UI look and feel. But yeah, making progress. So yeah, this setting all the user store inside the handler seems to be working correctly, but then finally figured out I needed to add this additional check right here, and that finally allowed or got rid of the possibly null error that I had for so long. So, and it's looking good. So yeah, to be continued.